Well, greetings, everyone. Today, I would like to introduce the topic of literary theory and literary criticism. I'm going to be using a few quotes from a book called Literary Criticism: An Introduction to Theory and Practice by Charles Bressler. So let me just share my screen. And instead of me reading the quotes word by word, I just want to point out a few concepts, a few key concepts that will be helpful in order for us to understand what is literary criticism and how important it is for us when we approach literature as readers. So first of all, literary criticism is an endeavor, which is a word that implies an idea of hard work, disciplined hard work. Literary criticism is not a random activity. It's not just about reading a text and reacting emotionally to it and then say I like it or I don't like it. Literary criticism implies a discipline and some knowledge of literature and of theory that will help us describe, study, analyze, justify, interpret, and evaluate a work of art. Some of us think the first time we hear the word criticism that we're just evaluating a literary text and we're saying after reading it how good or how bad it is. Sometimes literary criticism gives us tools in order to do that, but that's not necessarily the focus of literary criticism. Mainly, it is to help us interpret and extract meaning, construct meaning out of a literary text and have a better experience of it. And in the process, we might even enjoy the literary text more, in as much as we have more knowledge and a closer look and a more critical look at the literary text. So that's one of the things that literary criticism does for us, is to provide us with tools to interpret. Now, there is also the element of the reader and how we approach a literary text. It's not just about what the theory says, but also how we construct meaning from our position as readers. Our mental framework, our responses, whether they are emotional at first and then more critical later, even our fears, our likes or dislikes, all of these elements come into play when we try to interpret the literary work. Our system of beliefs, our worldviews play a role, and literary criticism takes all of that into account. Now, another very important concept is that of transaction, meaning that in order to construct meaning, get meaning out of a literary text, there's a negotiation that takes place between the reader and the text. The text in itself doesn't have all the answers, and the reader by himself or herself doesn't have all the answers either. It's a negotiation. As we read, we let ourselves be transformed and be informed by the literary text and what it says, but also we bring our worldviews, our systems of beliefs, the things that we talked about just a minute ago. We bring our own responses to the literary text, and all of that combined, all of those elements combined are capable of creating meaning. And that's what literary criticism or a critical reading of a literary text looks like, is a result of this transaction. Also, it's very important to keep in mind that there is no correct literary theory. There is no right answer to an interpretation of a literary text. There is no meta theory. There's not an umbrella theory that covers all of the theories and that would give us the answers to any text that we read. Each theory focuses primarily on one element of the interpretive process. So there are theories that focus on the text and its language. There are other theories that focus on the reader's reactions, but there are others that focus more on context, social context. There are others that focus on gender issues. Other theories focus on history. other focus on symbols and semiotic structures of the text. So there are countless numbers of literary theories. And what we do as readers is that we make use of the theories that we need at the moment. And we assume that those theories are going to give us the tools for us to approach the text critically, but they're not going to give us the answers. Actually, one literary text may be approached from many different points of view, many different theories, and we will get a lot of meanings out of one single poem, let's say. So let's just keep that in mind. And let's go to our last quote from Bressler. This one is about two ways of knowing the literary text. One way is when we know the literary text critically. We analyze the literary elements and we apply those theories, the ones that I was just talking to you about. And there's the other one that is to experience the text at a more intimate level. The first one comes from this word in French, savoir, which in Spanish would be something similar to saber. And that's when we get to know the text critically, right? We interpret it critically using theories. But the other one, connaître or conocer, the literary text, it's more about the intimate experience that we have of the text in which we react emotionally and we let ourselves be moved. We cry, we laugh, we feel the literary text. So are these two ways of knowing a literary text mutually exclusive? No, they're not. We can connaître a literary text. At the same time, we can also savoir a literary text. So in this course, we're going to try and do both, if at all possible. We're going to learn some theories that will help us approach the literary text, but hopefully we will also be experiencing the literary text at a more intimate level. Okay, so I'm going to stop right here and let's see if we can talk and discuss a little bit more about this, especially how we get to react to a literary text from an emotional response to a more critical response. So let me just stop here and we'll discuss more in a minute. Okay.